In honor of World Thyroid Day, which happens every year on May 25th, let's talk today about what your thyroid actually does and why it matters more than you think. This episode is foundational. You have to understand what your thyroid does in order to understand how it goes wonky when you have Hashimoto's or when you have hypothyroidism. Just like the finance people, the counterfeit people, they have to study real dollar bills before they can identify the counterfeits. Well, let's talk about what your thyroid actually does so we can say, oh, right, this is not normal when you're struggling with symptoms of hypothyroidism. My goal for this episode is to give you a resource that you can share with family and friends as you're trying to explain this is what Hashimoto's is, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm experiencing, and most importantly, these are the things that I'm trying to do in order to feel better, because we all want to have the very best health possible, even with Hashimoto's. Welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This is where you will find clarity and simple, sustainable strategies to feel better. I want to help you figure out your root causes. My name is Esther. I am a registered nurse. I know how exhausting it is to live with fatigue, brain fog, and the ups and downs of Hashimoto's. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to cut through the confusion and to give you practical steps that support your body, calm your immune system, so that you can regain your energy and feel like yourself again. Your thyroid is kind of like a butterfly. It's butterfly shaped, and it is at the base and the front of your neck. It's rather small. It can get bigger. So if you've ever seen a picture of somebody with a goiter, that really large swelling at the base of their neck, that's their thyroid. So the Cleveland Clinic describes it like this. They say the thyroid is part of your endocrine system. It controls many of your body's important functions by producing and releasing certain hormones. Your thyroid's main job is to control the speed of your metabolism, which is the process of how your body transforms food that you consume into energy. All of the cells in your body need energy to function. And when your thyroid isn't working properly, it can impact your entire body. Absolutely. So your thyroid, like the Cleveland Clinic says, it produces hormones. And the main one that it makes is T4. So T4 is like a key blank. If you have ever gone to the hardware store to get a new key made, you bring in your key and then you pick out the key that you want. Like you get to pick, the color and the look of the top. And then you give that key blank to the person behind the counter at the hardware store. They're going to take your key, and they're going to take the key blank, and they're going to turn the key blank into a new key for you. So T4 is like that key blank. It needs to turn into something in order to work. T4 is the key blank. It doesn't work in your cells yet. Your thyroid makes it, but it's not functional yet. So your body needs to convert that to T3. T3 is like the working key. So T3 is going to go to every single cell in your body, and it's just going to be like the ignition switch. It's going to turn on your cell. So every single cell in your body requires a little bit of thyroid in order to turn on, in order to function. So you can see here, the thyroid, it might just be a small little gland right at the front of your neck, but it impacts every single cell in your body. And if you have ever played with Legos, if you have kids who have ever played with Legos, you can think of it as every single little Lego is like a little cell in your body. You have to build a bunch of Legos together to make a structure. Same thing with your body. You need healthy cells. Your cells are going to come together to make organs, to make tissues, to make your entire body, to make your body systems. Everything has at the base, the building block is the cell. And you have to have healthy, functioning cells. And those cells need to have enough energy. They need to be able to turn on. Your thyroid is very, very important for your daily life. So then, what is Hashimoto's? The name of this podcast is Health with Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is two things. It is an autoimmune condition. That means your immune system is attacking your own body. It's auto, your body. And the Hashimoto's is also a problem with the thyroid because your immune system is specifically attacking your thyroid. For most people, they experience hypothyroid symptoms. That means their thyroid is not producing enough thyroid hormone, or it means that the T4 is not converting to T3 like it should be. So hypothyroid symptoms Just think of how every single cell needs that little ignition key. And if it doesn't have that ignition key, what's going to happen? It's not going to turn on. And if the cells are not turning on, then everything is working slower. So you can think of hypothyroidism as things are slowing down. And depending on where in your body the main slowing down is happening, that's going to be what impacts your symptoms. Everybody might have slightly different symptoms because you are a bio-individual. You are unique, and your symptoms might not be the same as your best friends, even as your mom's. They might not be the same because you are unique. So let's talk about what it means and what it can feel like when different places slow down, when they experience these hypothyroid symptoms. The number one complaint that I hear is fatigue. And this might be physical or it might be in your brain. Just this extreme fatigue and exhaustion. Not just like you're tired, but like you are, well, let me tell you what other people have said. Somebody said, I could sleep for 20 hours. Another person said, it's like sitting in a chair knowing you're hungry, but not being able to get your body to move. Another person said, you're really hungover every single day. Another person said, have you ever gone without sleep for over 24 hours? That's what it feels like. No energy to do anything but the bare minimum. And that's the physical energy, the physical fatigue. You're just exhausted every single day. It doesn't matter how much you slept, absolutely, utterly exhausted. But this is also on a brain level. People feel brain fog and fatigue in their brain. It's like, you have your computer doing 500 different things, and all of a sudden everything slows down and you get the little spinning wheel of death icon. It means that nothing's working. It's trying, it's working really hard to work, but it's not happening. Nothing is happening on the surface. You're not getting any results. That's what's happening in your brain when you're experiencing this brain fog. It's like slow processing. You're really trying to do something, but you can only focus on one thing. And that one thing is you're only feeling like you're getting like 10% out instead of 100%. Super frustrating. Somebody said it would be like a deep, thick fog was surrounding every single task. Another person said extreme boredom and numbness that made it hard to focus. Somebody else said loss of words, slow processing, confused easily, like trying to think through molasses. Other things that can slow down or get tired would be your metabolism. Like I said from the beginning, the Cleveland Clinic said your thyroid, the main job is metabolism, giving every single cell their energy. So if things are slowing down, your metabolism is slowing down, which means what's going to go up? Your weight. People complain that they're doing all the same things and all of a sudden they're gaining weight. And then you throw perimenopause or menopause into the mix, and you get even more frustrating symptoms. So things are slowing down, including your metabolism. As far as the weight gain, these are different quotes that I found online. Somebody said, rapid weight gain that won't budge with any exercise or any diet. Gaining weight like crazy. Severe and sudden weight gain, 20 pounds. One thing that so many women tell me is that they've cut back on their calories. They're trying to eat less. And even though they're eating less, then they're gaining even more weight. And how frustrating is that? You're doing the things that used to work. You're doing the things that all the gurus on the internet say to do in order to lose weight, and nothing is working. It's because your thyroid is not working. Other things that slow down in response to your thyroid not producing or converting enough thyroid hormone would be your digestion. And this looks like constipation and bloating for a lot of people. Also, depression, mood changes, and anxiety. I know depression and anxiety feel like two completely different things, but both of them can be related to your thyroid, especially hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's. Do a quick search for episode 38 or click the link down in the show notes. It is the standard of care. Standard of care means that it's supposed to happen, that if you are struggling with depression, if you have depressive symptoms, you are supposed to get your thyroid tested. Anybody who's helping you treat your depression is supposed to run a thyroid panel, because if your brain is not having enough energy, it can't function well. And for a lot of people, that looks like depression. So you could be on all of the antidepressant medications in the world, but if your thyroid is not doing what it's supposed to, then your brain doesn't have enough energy and your brain can't function. And on a lot of people, that looks like depression. In episode 103, it's a short episode, like 10 minutes, I go through all of those thyroid labs to check. So head over or head down to the show notes and click that link, or do a search for episode 103, and we'll talk about thyroid labs. Other common symptoms of a thyroid not functioning optimally, so hypothyroid, would be problems with your hair. So hair loss or hair thinning. People say they're losing hair to the point that she had a patch of hair missing. Eyebrows thinning. That's really common, especially the outer third of the eyebrows. If that's missing, get a thyroid panel, a full thyroid panel, ASAP. Along with hair, skin and nails. So people are having skin issues, dry and cracked skin, skin feeling weird, thinning skin, a puffy face, random rashes and hives. There's a lot of skin-related stuff that can be related to your thyroid not working well. And then nails brittle, peeling, not growing well. Hair, skin, and nails are a very common hypothyroid complaint. So in my analogy of the ignition keys, every single cell, and if your cells don't have enough ignition keys and they slow down, that's my analogy. It helps explain the physical fatigue, the brain fog, the depression, the constipation, the hair, skin, and nails. Those are all things slowing down. But other things don't really fall into that analogy very well. For example, joint pain and muscle pain. Very common with hypothyroid symptoms, or they can be symptoms of hypothyroidism, but it's not really explained by that ignition key. But just know that if you're having a lot of joint pain or muscle pain, this can be related to your thyroid. Some people describe it as very arthritis-like, but it's not arthritis. It's actually thyroid. Another thing that is not easily explained by that ignition key is shortness of breath or heart palpitations. Sometimes this can be related to hyperthyroidism. Now, when your immune system is attacking your thyroid, sometimes your thyroid, when it's attacked, it releases extra hormone. And then you have too much thyroid in your body. That's hyperthyroid. So while you're dealing with ongoing hypothyroid symptoms, you also can have bursts of hyperthyroid symptoms. Why wouldn't it all just balance out? That is a great question. I'm just telling you what actually happens. So hyperthyroid symptoms would be things speeding up, so that anxiety, when your brain is slower, you think depression, faster anxiety. But other things speed up too, like your heart. You can have heart palpitations. That's one of the most common symptoms of hyperthyroidism. But you can have that symptom without any lab values that are saying hyperthyroidism. You can have heart palpitations. You can also have shortness of breath. And then one more weird symptom, how I said, just overwhelming fatigue, bone weary tiredness. Well, let's throw a little insomnia in there too. Why? If you're so completely exhausted, you'd think that you would just be able to go to bed and sleep for 24 hours. But no, some people with thyroid issues are discovering that they go to bed and they might sleep for an hour or two, maybe 4 hours, and then they wake up and this insomnia steals their sleep. So while they're so bone weary, while they're so tired, they're unable to sleep. That is super frustrating. If you are dealing with any of these symptoms, or if you're listening to this episode because your friend or your family member, somebody sent this episode to you to explain what they're going through, it's real. I want you to know that it is real. You are not imagining these symptoms, and it is not your fault. You are not lazy. This is not your fault. You're not bringing it upon yourself by different things that you are thinking or doing. There are always things that you can do to improve. I go over those in a super simple format in Hashimoto's Decoded, where I'm walking you through the root causes so you can know exactly what to do, because nobody wants to be stuck with all these symptoms. Having better health with Hashimoto's is the goal. Now, because Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition, it is said that we will never be completely disease free, but we can be 100% symptom free. You can have all of your labs returned to normal. You can have your life back, and understanding your root causes and what to do about those is key. And that is why I made Hashimoto's Decoded, because I want every single person to have that available to them. So you know what's going on, you know what's causing it, you know what your triggers are, and you know what to do about it, most importantly. So, autoimmune condition, what does that mean, Esther? Let me tell you. Your immune system fights off the bad guys, right? Well, sometimes your immune system gets a little overzealous and starts attacking yourself. Every single autoimmune condition is that. It is your immune system attacking one or more parts of you. But we don't just throw them all together and say autoimmune disease. We name it differently depending on what your body is attacking. So in this case, the immune system is attacking the thyroid, and it got the name Hashimoto's thyroiditis. The thyroiditis means itis, means inflammation of the thyroid. The autoimmune part means it's because your immune system is attacking your thyroid. So the autoimmune portion is crucial. You can address the symptoms of the hypothyroidism. You can be on medications, and you should be on medications. If your body does not have enough ignition keys, you need those. Your cells need to be able to turn on. Your cells need to be able to work. You need a healthy, functioning body. And so getting on a medication might be what your thyroid and what every single cell in your body needs. That is only one half of the issue, though. The other half is your immune system that's attacking your thyroid. And we want to stop that attack. We want to allow your body to heal. We want to stop the attack on the thyroid. Because if you go to a regular doctor, it is so common for them to say, oh, you have hypothyroidism. Side note, they're not even checking for Hashimoto's. They don't even care about that autoimmune portion. They're only looking at the actual thyroid and your labs, maybe just one lab. So they're like, oh yeah, your thyroid's not working well. Here's some medication, levothyroxine, usually Synthroid, whatever, and just come back in 6 months. Yes, you'll probably have to go up on your medications over time. That's just how this works. Well, what they're not telling you is that, yes, it's common because people aren't taught how to address the autoimmunity portion. So if you're never stopping the attack on your thyroid, then of course the attack is going to continue and your symptoms are going to get worse, and you're going to need more medications over time to account for your thyroid not working as well. It is super frustrating to hear people talk about having hypothyroidism for 15, 20 years, and they just now found out that they have Hashimoto's. They just now found out that there is an autoimmune component to this overwhelming fatigue and the weight gain and all of these symptoms that they've been dealing with for 15 years. And their doctor's like, yeah, here's your medication. But what their doctor needs to do is say, oh, you know what? We ran a full thyroid lab panel this time, including antibodies, and you have elevated antibody levels showing that your immune system is attacking your thyroid. Wouldn't it be nice if every doctor did that evaluation? It's just, a couple clicks on the computer to add that to the lab results, and you can find out if your body is attacking your thyroid. And then finally, you can take action. Instead of being reactive and saying, these are my symptoms and I need more thyroid hormone in my body, now we can be proactive and we can say, okay, let me figure out my root causes. There is something that's telling my immune system to attack my thyroid. Why is my immune system attacking my thyroid? Thankfully, there are 8 common things, and I go through them in Hashimoto's Decoded. In less than an hour, I'm going to talk you through all 8 so that you can make yourself a roadmap. You're going to be able to oh, yeah, I know for sure that this 1 or 2 or 3 are absolutely part of my life. And so, yes, of course, they're going to be root causes. Now, in this Hashimoto's Decoded, in 1 hour, just you and me on your computer via video. This is not live. It's video, so you can do it anytime. You can do it when you have brain energy, and you'll be able to figure out your root causes. Now, of course, in this 1 hour, we're not going to run a whole bunch of labs. There are people who say test, don't guess, and I absolutely agree with them. You want testing. You want to know exactly what's going on. But there's a lot of things that common sense can tell you. You know if your stress levels are high. You know what's going on in your gut. a little bit at least. There's a lot of things that we can figure out with common sense in less than an hour. So you can figure out that roadmap, because with the autoimmune portion of Hashimoto's, we need to know what's going on. We need to know why is the immune system attacking the thyroid. And that's what I want to help every single person figure out. Your doctor is not helping you figure that out. As an RN and as somebody who went back to school for health education and to understand the whole person, body, mind, spirit, diet, environment, how it all works together in health, that is what I have been trained to do, to help you figure out those root causes, to help you figure out a path forward to better health with Hashimoto's. So now that you know what your thyroid does and what happens when it goes haywire, now you can take your next step. If you don't yet know your root causes, your personal root causes, your next step is Hashimoto's Decoded. Head down to the show notes. You'll find the link right there in the show notes. If you want more basics, I also have a Hashimoto's 101 PDF that I can email to you. Kind of goes over what we just talked about in the last 20 minutes, helps you understand what the thyroid is, what Hashimoto's is, and what you can do about it. But the next thing that I want every single person to do is figure out their root causes. I want you to be able to feel like yourself again. I want you to know exactly what you can do to help yourself feel like yourself again. There is hope. You can feel better. You can have better health, even with Hashimoto's. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any changes with your trusted healthcare provider. To take your next step, join our school community and explore the courses available there. You do not have to figure your health out alone. So that is school, SKOOL.com, and it is the Health with Hashimoto's community. I'll see you next time on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.